Welcome again to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show with Pat. What's my rate, McMasters, sitting up there in the corner. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, buddy.
And
Good. How
we've
you doing?
got the ever entertaining Ruby Graff down here on the bottom. Hi, Ruby.
And we
Hi guys, how are you?
and we have
Good. And
we have a special viewer too. It's up 30,000 feet up in the air.
yeah, Jason's watching us from the plane today. So,
Yeah. So we got to be on.
so, but we are pleased to welcome back one of our buddies, our bestie. Welcome back, Jackie.
Hi guys, I missed y'all.
Hey,
I've been watching though.
It has been so long, but then you're going to be gone again on your book tour about how to ruin your spring and summer with shoulder surgery.
I don't recommend it. I
show
don't
the audience
recommend it.
show the audience your contraption. Stan.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
That
So,
builds a bone.
Here's
Look at
my
that.
bone stimulator and my wonderful brace. But I'm really lucky because 20% of the people that have the type of infection that I had with my hardware lose their limb. And so I've got it and I got a full shoulder. I'm super blessed. I had a little complication after my surgery. It dislocated on its own and I had to have emergency surgery 2 weeks later. But everything looks good. There's no infection. So now it's just rehab time.
Yay!
So I'm excited.
And it porches season, so you're healing just in time. So,
And
well,
poor Ruby.
welcome back. You have been missed. We've had
Thank you.
people ask about you, millions and millions, or was it just one creepy guy, Pat? I can't remember. It was so you know we
Two
had,
creepy guys, maybe.
yeah,
And I have to
we had to
to
block
say thank you to Ruby publicly because she has done so much and so much fell on her this year, and it's just I'm lucky to have such an amazing real estate partner.
Wow.
Yeah, you've been working her tush off, so we've been, and she's had found time to get on the show here too as well. So anyway, welcome back. Hey, we have a special guest today, Greg Campbell from Michigan Mutual, Director of Wholesale Lending. Welcome, Greg. You're going to talk to us about renovation loans.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for letting me be on the show.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Greg. Obviously, wanted to have you come. We wanted to try to bring some different things to different people. And this article that, as I was telling you about before we got on, I mean, just a quick note. It says the fix and flip market turnaround could be underway. And it said this past first quarter, 67,000 homes were flipped in the U.S., representing 8.7% of the home sales. And the article goes on to say, as sales increased in home flips, so did gross profits. Home flippers nationwide earned an average of 30% gross profit before expenses on their sales. And it says the typical flips across the U.S. saw gross profits of $72,000 this past first quarter, and that got me to thinking, have you guys on, just to talk about to maybe the first-time home buyers are looking out for a home. It might just be an option for them as far as looking at a home that might be not that dream home, but they could do some work to it. So have you on just to talk about renovation loans a little bit, what kind of the do's and don'ts, maybe the pitfalls, and you're an expert in the area. You said you've done thousands and for many years, so take it away.
Sure. Like renovation lending comes in a couple different real avenues. You have government renovation lending, and then you got conventional loans. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac really jumped on the bandwagon and brought out their own product to mimic the 203K. So I always say the 203K is kind of the granddaddy of renovation lending. It's been around for a very, very long time, and it's being updated in November, which is pretty exciting because if you're in the industry a long time, you'll understand that HUD and FHA updates itself very rarely to the benefit that they are in this November period for the streamline or the standard 203K and the streamline 203K are actually getting better, or they'll call it the limited 2. So if you're a borrower that's an FHA borrower, a 203K is an amazing option. Now, the article you referenced just shows you that when you're buying a home that is not quite right, it has a problem, or it has some areas that have to have repairs, it is an opportunity to truly buy it undervalued in the market. The reason flippers make such a lot of profit is because you have very limited people that can buy those homes that have they need roofs, or they need new bathrooms, or they need to be updated desperately. And right now, the sellers that are selling them, they just want to unload those properties. Mm-hmm. So the flippers end up getting the properties because they can show up with a cash offer, and the seller's kind of losing out as well on a lot of those flip transactions. So if you're a buyer out there and you're looking inside the market for that house, a lot of homes and housing you would discount because it doesn't meet the needs of your family. But let's be honest with everyone in the room, there's still not enough housing out there for the demand. We're really behind in housing and housing starts in the country, and new housing cost starts they're massive. The cost per square foot to build brand new has gone through the roof. That's where renovation lending really comes into play. So it's not just for a government loan, it's for a conventional loan as well. In the fact, I'm doing more conventional through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's products than I am 203Ks at the moment. And what you can really do is you can change that property to meet the needs of your family. You can expand it. You can do additions to it. It's easier to say how you can't fix that property than what repairs you can fix the property with. And a lot of it's based on that after improved value. So you get a lot of value by making the repairs to the property, and it's your value then. It's your equity as the buyer going into it. And you can even finance your first 5-6 months worth of payments as part of the loan. So the loan isn't based off your purchase price. The loan is based off your purchase price plus your renovations. And if the renovations are giving you the value, you get to immediately access that value as part of the purchase. So it's kind of a backflip. I call it it's either described as a nightmare loan or as Bigfoot. The nightmare loan, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have someone to guide you through the process, welcome to your nightmare. There's a lot of extra steps, and I'm not shy about it with people. And I tell them, if you don't take training on the product and you don't learn, it's like diving in the deep end of the swimming pool and no one's ever taught you how to swim. It does turn into a nightmare loan. But if you
what kind of interest? Oh, sorry.
Go for it. Jump in.
I was just curious what kind of interest rates go along with those renovation loans. I'm sure our viewers would like to know.
It's almost identical. So for us, it's just a loan level price adjustment. I think it's like a 40 bip hit on a conventional loan. Okay. So it's not a massively different rate. It's not like where you would think it'd be a 0.5% or 1/4% different. Maybe an eighth, maybe a quarter.
Okay. So if I'm looking at buyers out there, especially, you're trying to get your first home and you're waiting for prices to adjust. I want prices to come down 20% before I jump in. But you're still waiting for that house that pushes all of your buttons. This is not for everybody, but this may be an opportunity that says, I can probably get that house for 20 to 30% below actual market value when it's fixed up, get this loan and get it fixed up. And now I'm way ahead of the game instead of waiting for prices to adjust on a home that's already remodeled. Why not get in there and turn it into something for yourself that you like?
You can absolutely do that with these products. The other thing that happens a lot is someone finally finds the house. I know one of you is a realtor on the program. How many times have you taken people and they finally found the house? It's in the right neighborhood. It's next to Nana. It's got the right school district. There was 3 to choose from. They got outbid on the other 2. They finally got this one. And an inspection happens and an appraisal happens and you hear, wah, your roof is bad. Or you have a problem in this room. Or we found mold in here. And it kills the deal. Do you as a realtor make any more money starting all over? And how many home buyers have you seen get discouraged and stop looking because now they paid for an appraisal, they paid for a home inspection to be done on the property, and they're out. They're like, I'm checking out. I'm going to just stay where I'm at. I'm not going to make the move. This product is also there for those problems as well. That I found the house, it needs a new roof. Don't stop. We can finish it. Let's just put a new roof on the house after close. So I call it the save you one. It saves a lot more situations than you believe when you have that thing happen with an inspection or an appraisal that would typically stop a purchase. So a lot of people discount that. This allows you to keep moving and keep that deal going. They get the house in the neighborhood that they wanted to be in, and they get the new roof at the same time. So that's one part of it. The other part that comes into play is exactly what you're saying. If I'm finding that house that's been on the market for 200 days when everything's off the market in 14. What is wrong with the house? And typically those are the ones that you'll find have extensive repairs that are required. I've done renovation loans where houses have been torn down to the studs and started from the studs. So it's easier, like I said, to say what you can't do. I can't pick up a house, get rid of the foundation and build a new foundation. Can't do that. I can't pick up a house and move it to a new location. I can't do that. I can't raise the house and build a new one. It's not a construction loan. It's a renovation loan. But outside of those areas, you can almost do everything. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I have two quick questions for you. One of them being, as far as the contractors, do they have to, is there certain guidelines that the contractors have to fall under? And then what are the timelines?
Okay, so the contractors have to be licensed appropriately for the state they're doing the job in. And we have a contractor acceptance form. And our contractor acceptance form goes, have they been insured? Are they licensed? And we check their licensing and insuring. They got to give us 2 credit references. They got to give us 2 work references. And they had to have worked with a lender in the past doing draw type loans. If they don't have all those requirements, I can't use them. Also, when it comes to contractors, anytime you need more than 2 specialty things done. So if I need a roof and windows, great. I can go get 2 specialty contractors. If more than 2, get 1. If I need more than 2 contractors, you go and get 1 general contractor, and they can get all the subcontractors into their bids. I call it like herding cats, because you got to get those contractors, the homeowner, the fee consultant, and all these people and the lender all on the same page. The minute you do more than 2, I'm going to go back to welcome to my nightmare. That's an amateur move. You go to the general contractor and they're dealing with 1 general contractor. When it comes to the timeframes, they really differ per product. So if I'm just doing an escrow repair and not even going into a full renovation loan, which we offer as well, where we allow them to fix minor things with their own money after close, that's a 90-day turn time. As soon as you get to the home style renovation in the 203K, you're looking at a year. So they have a full year afterwards to complete the construction. In some marketplaces, it can take 3 to 6 months to get a specific type of contractor even to the property. Look what just happened in Florida. I do more roofs in Florida than you can believe. And a lot of times I do the loan and the roofing company can't show up for 4 to 6 months later after these hurricanes happen. So it gives you the flexibility of the time frame. The best part about it, though, is at close, the realtor and the mortgage company, they're done. It closes like a normal loan. You get paid like a normal loan. You're done with the loan. And I have a team that takes over from that point forward that deals with the contractors and the homeowners to handle the disbursements and to ensure that the construction is completed.
Now, what about the homeowner that's sitting home that, he's not buying a new home, but he'd sure like to spruce up his kitchen and his bathrooms and some flooring. What kind of product is that?
So a lot of people get this part wrong. So again, this is my favorite part about renovation lending for a loan officer. I call it the save you loan. How many times has someone come to you and said, I need to pull cash out of my property because I need to fix my roof. I need to redo the bathroom. I have plumbing that blew up in my house. I need to pull cash out. And you're caught catch-22. You need to have roof fixed to be able to get the mortgage. Well, I need the money from the mortgage to fix the roof. A renovation loan, when it comes to refinancing, allows you to access the value of the property as if it was completed, and it's considered rate and term refinancing, not cash out. So I get to go by rate and term LTVs on my lending. Cash out limits you so much, 80, maybe 90 LTV if you're lucky to get it. You can do maximum financing on FHA of 97.75% on a refinance to repair a property. And that lets you access that money, but it's not what it's worth today that they care about. It's what it's worth after the repairs are made. So it really changes the dynamic on how much money you can access in that property and what repairs you can have done to it.
What if I'm sitting on a low note? What if I'm got a 3% mortgage right now? Does the whole thing get rewritten?
The whole thing gets rewritten. It's one whole new loan. Now, that takes me to where I call the people that I like to refer to as mortgage stuck. Hey, I have a 3% note rate, but I need a new roof. You're in a trap. And sometimes note rate isn't the important part is the fact that the house isn't leaking, or I build the addition I really need to have on the property. So it's one of those that, okay, I can sell my house right now with my 3% note rate and try to go buy a house, but you're selling high, buying high. You either sell low, buy low, or sell high, buy high. I've never seen someone be able to sell high and buy low within the same month in the same marketplace. It just doesn't really work that way. So instead of trying to buy high, you still get to keep the equity in your property by renovating the property and getting the higher interest rate at the time. And hoping by the time that the construction's completed, that interest rates may have float down a bit, or you can access a refinance in the future to bring that price down.
That sounds good. How do people get a hold of you? Do they go through Pat to find you? Do they reach you directly? How do
I don't work directly with the consumer or the realtors. We work with our broker partners. Okay. So it would be our broker partners that you'd have to go to be able to access me. Now, I like my position. I'm typically the ghost in the room. Nobody knows I exist. I'm only there in case something goes wrong, or I get to do a fun event like this, or do some training. But typically, it's our broker partners that we work with the most, and they're the ones that can access our expertise and get training from us and our help along the entire process.
I'm going to just jump in real quick. I think 2 points. I think it's important. Like you said, Michigan Mutual, I know you guys tout that you are very much an expert in the home renovation area. It's talking to Jen, obviously you guys kind of seems like you promote it from a broker standpoint, but because a lot of companies do this, but a lot of companies don't do it right.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean that's what I found out. And the second thing is, so you got to pick the right lender. That's why I had you guys on, because Jen, I've been just talking to her, I can tell that she knows her stuff. The way she knows it just as good as anybody, it sounds like. But it's important to pick that right lender, and like I said, a lot of them do it. Another thing is you said about the hoops. That's why there are some pitfalls, but if you get with the right lender that knows the right process, because there's some people out there like, hey, I want to get my Uncle Rick who does this stuff on the part time and just renovate. That's how you avoid the pitfalls, by having the right process in place.
Correct. We don't allow it's truly a non-arm's length type of experience. I will not let a contractor related to be your contractor. So let's go into a couple of the points you said. What's the biggest pitfalls? What are the biggest problems? I'm the type of guy, I'm relatively intelligent, but I've learned a lot more by failure than I've ever learned by success, because it stings. It's right here. It reminds me every day.
Like all of us.
So some of the pitfalls on the product is, number one, not setting the correct expectations with all parties involved and the time frame it's going to take. It will take you longer to originate the loan in the beginning because you're complicating the matter by adding additional parties. The more people you bring to the party, the more complicated it gets. I could have a fee consultant involved, and I'm going to have a contractor involved. By adding those two people alone, you've now complicated the purchase with two additional personalities. So you do have additional time that it takes. There is additional paperwork. You have to have homeowner contractor agreements. The homeowner has to find this contractor, because I can't recommend a contractor. And I would be I would warn everyone on here to recommend contractors to homeowners, because if the contractor doesn't do it right, it's your fault. You're the recommender. You're the one that gave them the referral. So it's truly one of those things that the homeowner should be vetting their contractors. Mm-hmm. Let's be very honest. Most homeowners aren't very good at vetting contractors. So you have to guide them down the path. They have to be licensed. They have to be insured. You're getting a deal on the house, not the contractor. If a contractor gives you a bid that's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. It is going to cost more on the contractor to get the right ones, and selecting the right contractor will be your biggest takeaway of your biggest pitfall in the end, which is homeowner contractor disputes. Once you found that right contractor, then you're doing things called the maximum mortgage worksheet, which really allows you to derive what your loan amount is on that transaction and what that payment comes from it. You have to set the right expectation with that borrower, because I always did a sheet of paper down the middle on one side, what I have to do to fix the home to be financeable. I need the new roof. I got to get rid of the mold. I have to fix the crack in one of the foundation walls. Those three things are not optional. If I don't get those done, there's no mortgage. Then the wish list side, you would like to get rid of the pink bathroom from the 80s. You would like to update the kitchen. You'd like new carpet, paint, and appliances. Well, once you get the bids back from the contractors, Then you'll find if the cost matches the potential value of the property and can fit in the loan amount. So I call it like a funnel. You're really funneling down to get the right information. In the beginning, it's very broad. I want to buy this house for $300,000. I want to do $100,000 in repairs. Great. Now the purchase happens. We under contract for $310,000. Oh, I got the contractor. It's really $62,000, not $100,000 in the repairs. Or, God forbid, it happens all the time. You tell them you can only do $100,000. They come back. Well, I need $120,000. That's always the case. I need a little bit more than you said I could have. So when you're qualifying the borrower, you do just your normal qualification of the borrower of the max that they can afford that you can finance them for, and then you taper it back off from there. Okay, the max you can afford, Mr. Borrower, is $400,000. Well, that means you have to buy a house that's well below $400,000 to be able to do repairs to it. It's not you're buying a house for $400,000 and doing $100,000 in repairs. Your max is $400,000. So setting those types of expectations right up front with the borrower saves you a ton of traps behind the scenes of them trying to overbuy or over improve the property and what they can afford. That's a trap, and you'll waste a lot of time there. Another trap that you come to is once you tell them you've selected this contractor, if you find a new contractor at the end of the process, we start over from square one. Welcome to your nightmare. I've had the borrower 2 days before close go to a home and garden show and come back and say, I want this contractor instead of this contractor, but I'm closing in 2 days. And you're like, sorry, I got to start over. Well, you never told me I couldn't switch contractors. Well, you can, but now I have to have the appraiser go back and reassess the property with the new contractor bids. I have to have the fee consultant meet that contractor at the property, and I've extended that timeline. I could have a lock that blows. I could lose my contract with my realtor. So setting basic expectations with every party involved is the biggest pitfall that most loan officers really don't do a good job of doing.
I have one more quick question based off the repairs and the contractor. Do you typically, and I'm sure something like this would have to be set aside, like a contingency?
Yeah, there's contingency on every one of these products from 10% to 20%. So FHA has a scale of 10 to 20% on their contingency reserves. Conventional is 10 to 15% on the contingency reserve, and it's financed in as part of the loan. Any money that's not used in the contingency reserve is applied as a principal reduction after the final draw.
Okay.
Well, Greg, I appreciate you being on. You're welcome to stick around. We're going to, you can watch out. We're going to run through our local Arizona numbers. And even though you're way out there in Michigan, you're going to be an expert in no time. And so this is where we jump into our marginal real estate advice. And with people that know very little about real estate, but strive to look good on camera. And so this is.
And thank you so much. That was so informative. Really good stuff.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I appreciate it. I hope people look into that for it. This is what is out here. We have our own data service called the Cromford Market Report, and they pull from our local multiple listing service and compile all the data. And you can find just about every chart imaginable, but they roll it into what's called the Cromford Market Index, which it's a proprietary measurement of supply versus demand. And we're way down the basement. Anything below 100 is considered a buyer's market, and we are at 94.1. So if, for buyers out there, you definitely have time now to make decisions, and we're hovering right at 2022 levels. And in 2022, it wasn't long after that where interest rates started to go back up, but we're anticipating the opposite of that now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Cromford Market Index going forward for the rest of the year. I anticipate it to go down because sales are going to drop. We're at 2460 on our 7-day moving average here. It's been stuck there since July. And we look here at listings under contract. We're right at the 2022 levels. It's just almost frightening. 6651. It's like this is 2022 was a good year. Let's do it again. And that's what we're seeing. And pending listings, same thing. Right there, matching last year. So we haven't budged much. We kind of went up a little bit during our season in the spring, and we've been going down steadily. And I anticipate as we get into the holidays that we'll continue to this trajectory right here. So that's my fall and beginning of winter outlook. I don't see anything out there that says, okay, it's going to turn. The months of supply you can see here is sitting at 3.9. You know, they say the average is 4 to 6 months, but you know, here's 4 right there. That's that dotted line. And we haven't been at 4 forever. And so, you know, I don't see, we're going to be a little over 4 months as we start getting into Christmas. And so that's kind of a quick snapshot of our market. Like I say, I don't anticipate much changing between now and then. We could see maybe another rate cut in November, but that's going to be all up to the bond market. And that segues us up to the fun stuff that Pat shows us. But let me welcome Jessica in here. She's all set up and home now.
Hi.
Welcome.
Happy
And,
Thursday, everyone.
Jesus,
Hi, Jessica.
this is starting to look like Brady Bunch.
Yes, I know. How do we do this?
Jeepers creepers. Anymore?
Download that theme song. Well, we just want to let people know you're all welcome. Just
Yeah.
come in and
We welcome everybody.
we'll put you up there. So Pat, rates, they kind of went up a little this week. How come?
We got a sell off today. We got yes, ever since the Fed cut the Federal Reserve back last month, this is basically right here. Let's see, right here. Let's see, where is it? No, where the heck is it? Right here. This is bond prices, rates and prices are up. We've had let me see if I can pull it in a little bit further. This has basically been this is the prices, Rates are inverse relationship to rates. So we've not had a good month really since the Fed or Reserve met. Today was kind of a trifecta of economic data. We had jobless claims. There was 3 things that came out that just kind of slapped the market down. It was basically the 5% coupon was down 44 basis points, which is not a good day on the market. I think the market was kind of looking for a day to have like this, just to kind of blow off some steam. But I mean, because the market's obviously always trying to adjust itself based on what they think ahead of time. And we had jobless claims, we had the Philly Fed, and we had retail sales, and everything just, this is today's market. But the thing of it is that, really there's a silver lining in this, is that everything is still kind of in the short-term range. I mean, as you can see, we've had this peak, but we're still against this, this support level here. So we've got some news coming out the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the next data points could be the Federal Reserve. So I think the market's always just looking for these 2 to 3 week periods where to kind of blow off some steam, and then it builds a base. So it's been kind of, if obviously you try to lock something here, it hasn't been fun yet. I think we're going to see some pressure get released from rates here, hopefully the short term, because they're going to have to start talking about the Fed, what they're going to do. So it's just been, obviously I think the Fed market was just looking for some type of release, just to kind of blow off some steam, it seemed like today. Today you've got rates. Just to pull up, if I can find right now, I'm just using Michigan Mutual because we got them online here. They've been usually one of our top price lenders. For a $475,000 purchase, 5% down, 780 credit score. We saw rates right now. You can get 6 5/8 is going to cost you $2,000. Back a month ago, you were looking at probably 6 1/8 was obviously. So they've risen up about half a point quickly, but hopefully we'll see some relief here in the next week or two.
So Jessica, what do you got going on in your world? You were talking about with me this morning that kind of wanting to ask the questions. What are buyers waiting for? What scares them?
Well, right now, you and I were talking about just the uncertainty. There's always this constant uncertainty, the fear of, is there going to be another downturn in the market? And the answer is always yes. The market is up and down. I sent you that little chart on the FRED, FRED. You can talk more about that. But basically, I wanted to dumb it down for buyers and sellers. Yeah, the FRED. Buy a house in 1975, own a home. End of story. Own a home. Doesn't matter where you jump in. Doesn't matter, where you sell. As long as you're owning a home, over your lifetime, you're going to appreciate and earn equity. So I think we just get too complicated and we forget about the simplicity of, no matter what's going on in the housing market, the right time to buy a home is when you're financially ready. And awesome, some of the loan discussions that you guys were having earlier, some of the stuff that's on the market is sitting there and people think, oh, it's going to crash, or there's reasons why this inventory is still there. Could be simply that. Could be simply that it needs work and nobody's willing to put the money into it. So I just wanted to dumb it down really simply. If you can afford it, buy it. Find the tool, find the house, and there's plenty of options out there.
There's plenty of if you're looking, and if you're going to stay in it 10 years, I say just treat it like your 401k. Look at it every once in a while. I think we're too caught up in what are prices going to be in 6 months. We're very short term now, and they could be down in 6 months. There's no doubt about it. But does that mean when they are down in 6 months, you're gonna jump in and make the purchase? Because if you're always zeroed in on waiting, now this is going to sound like a realtor commercial to get out and buy now, and I'm just saying that when it gets really bad, nobody's in the mood for it. And if you look now, you say, look, the Cromford Market Index, it's in the basement, right? The listings under contract, it's in the toilet. The pending listings are in the same toilet, and months of supply are going up. So do those metrics have to get even far worse than we are right now before you, the consumer, feel better about it? Probably. I think that's called despair. And
I have a feeling once we get past the election, because I think, the election never really has an effect, but it's having more of an effect this time than I have ever seen. And I think once we get past that, I know you guys tell buyers the same thing. Buying at the holidays is always going to be when you get the best deal. If you're buying a car, if you're buying a new build, if you're buying a resale house, the deals are always November and December, and maybe that first week of January. And I think taking in consideration that we've got the inventory, and I think there's just a lot of misinformation out there right now, a lot of nervousness in the market. Buyers are very confused. They're confused over the lawsuits. I think once, and through the election and all the bogus stuff going on with that, I think once we get through the election and it calms down a little bit, if I were a buyer, that would be when I'd be looking. And again, I'm not trying to sell either, but I think it's a prime time if you're able.
Well, our challenge again is affordability. I mean, there are people out there that just can't get in. They can't. We looked at some nice new builds yesterday, and they're base prices $485, $550, and there's just people that can't touch it, no matter whether they feel good about it or they're waiting. They're forced to wait. That could take a long time to shake out. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, didn't we, Pat? Like maybe 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear that, but that may be where we're at. There was a comment that I saw on one of our videos, Jessica, and they go, geez, $500,000 for a starter home. And I just wanted to reply, yeah, $45,000 for a car.
I know. Well, here in the West Valley, on the west side, Buckeye, Surprise, Whitman, there are homes under $450,000. There's homes under $400,000 with incredible, nothing against you, Pat, but incredible interest rates that are making it affordable for those first-time home buyers to be able to buy a house that is already fixed up. They don't have to worry about doing repairs or that, and the incentives are still fabulous for them right now. So I get emails still every single day from from salespeople that I've got relationships with. So
yeah,
hey, Rick,
yeah.
Did you guys talk about? We found an interesting tidbit from a Pulte sales agent. He said they have more dirt under contract than homes. Dirt meaning lots to be built, which I think is a great indicator of where real estate's headed in the near future. If they've got 7 to 8 month build times and they're selling more lots in new construction than they are homes already being built. It's
And part of the reason was they don't have to hurry with their contingency. So if they were getting a spec home, they have to hurry up and sell their current home. So they're buying dirt, they're building the house that they want, giving themselves plenty of time to offload the house that they're in.
and they're paying cash, which means that's going to drive cash will set the appraisal standards.
Yeah, it was an interesting tour yesterday. I had a question because I couldn't really. You were talking about the taxes with that Pulte agent, and we had a comment on our video that we had last night saying that they hear that the builders didn't put enough money up for the infrastructures in some of these new developments, so they're just laying it on the new homeowners through higher taxes. Is that kind of what that's about that we were talking about yesterday?
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole show on that, but basically, the development we were at was a developer that's done multiple land development transactions out here in the Valley. They didn't in previous, well, it depends on the cities too and the municipalities. So Apache Junction and Pinal County had a lot different infrastructure needs compared to a lot of the other developments they did. So they were really, they're always unknown with what the cost is. So they give a blanket number of what they expect it to do, and then pass that on to it ultimately passes on to the consumer. So when you buy a resale, you can look at your tax bill and know what you're going to pay in taxes, and it's assessed annually, and it can change. And then when they assess in these new subdivisions, they're unknown. So those assessments are being estimated. So there's no specific dollar amount. So it's a little confusing for the consumer.
Are you guys talking about basically? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. That estimated taxes in the new build and the new construction just usually much lower than it should be.
So
we're talking about the CFD.
Yeah, the capital improvement. So, right. And that's the way for the builders to start passing it on to the consumers. So if that had something to do with the email, Rick, I thought you were talking about something totally different. So I'm seeing that too in a lot of the new developments. So it's their way of passing on the cost for the roads, parks, not just the stuff within the community, but the stuff within that potential, of the city around there.
Here's
like our guy does.
Here's our current active listings in the market. Look at where we're at. We're exactly at 2022 again.
Wow.
Weird, isn't it? But again, we're going to trend. Do you think we're going to trend down like we have in years past because of the upcoming holidays? Or do you think new listings will continue to grow?
I think we're going to trend just like last year. That's my dollar bet.
Okay, I got $1. Do I hear $2?
No.
$2 over there. Okay. So, Jackie, what do you think? You're our senior analyst, even though you've been gone.
Hey, I think we're going to level out.
Okay, so you're going to bet and say.
Well, that was a vanilla answer.
Yeah, the safest one I could come up with. So
Jackie's in the safe zone.
Way to really put yourself in the line there, Jackie.
I think we're having our little fall surge as far as getting houses on the market.
Give us something dynamic.
Huh? I don't think it's going to continue at this pace. I think we might see it for a couple more weeks, and then I think it's going to just kind of level out.
I'm going to see if I can shoot that foot just a hair. And I can't on this slide, but our increase in listings, available listings, is not because more people are putting their houses on the market. It's because that number really hasn't changed. You can see on the ticker down below where I share those numbers that the number of new listings coming on is relatively the same, but it's just that our sales, we've continuously had this gap of 500 to 600 homes. See new listings, 3140. It used to be 3,400, but we're only writing 2,400 contracts. So this week listings grew by 680, not because anybody called their realtor and said, let me list their home. It's just that every day it just starts adding to to the total listing count because they're not falling off. And so we're under the impression that everybody's listing their houses, and it's actually happening at a slower rate than it did last year. But last year we were selling 2,900 homes on a 7-day moving average, and we've been stuck at 2,500, 2,400. So that's, and I don't see that changing. I mean, as we get into the holidays, that number has no fuel to get better. It's that they're not, election or no election, Thanksgiving, the wheels fall off the wagon and people don't come back until after all the pumpkin pie and cookies are gone. So they'll be gone until New Year's Day. And then all the new listings show up. Everybody's like, it's New Year. Let's go. Let's hit the road. And then we're followed up by February with the largest amount of price reductions because everybody's too optimistic in January. So that's our seasonality here in Arizona. So
did you, I want to jump in here. I listened, anybody listen to Tina Tambor on the Cromford Report yesterday?
I did not.
Yeah. Flip it over. I mean, she went through, she went through all the screens. I mean, basically, I'm going to just kind of try to summarize it, but she talked about the 30-year mortgage rates. I mean, this is all the data. You know, Cromford is obviously one of our, Greg, we've got a report out here that really dials in on real estate, but she went over the Fed funds rate, the 2-year, 10-year treasury, the unemployment rate. These are all charts I can send out to people. I took snapshots during the webinar. She said, can mortgage rates come down further? She talked about the long-term average spread between the 30-year mortgage and the 10-year treasury. Right now, this right here, this is the highest it's been. We're right here, and it has been lower. So she's talking about how rates can come down based on that. She went, this is all data this is not just feelings or, how you feel. These are stats that this is a lot of data that she piles in. And on obviously the Cromford Report once a month, but she talks about how, remember that report that you use, how the supply demand comes together. Yeah. She says we've only seen it 3 times in the last 10 years, here and here and here. So, and she went on to say, talks about what we talk about, the market index that we use every week. She talks about how the seller markets, what's the buyer market, but overall, I'm just going to sum it up. Talks about the contract ratios. And like I said, anybody emails you, Rick, I can send this out, these snapshots to them. But talked about the weekly price reductions, 9,300 2024 versus 16,000 in 2022. She talked about concessions. Right now, they're getting 55% of the deals are getting concessions, and all this data comes down to the fact. Let me just roll it up here. Basically, the summary of it, and her summary point was, everything is good for buyers right now, overall.
Yeah. That's what we're seeing. And she's right about that. Of course, she's right because they make that chart. But, we did cross the supply index is higher than the demand index. So there's pricing pressure on the downside, not a lot, but that's what we saw before, right there in the middle. And that's what we saw back here, which is 2013, 14. And then, of course, this is when everything went to hell in a handbasket.
Yep.
But it's a good indicator. And it only gets updated once a month around the 6th or 7th of the month. But I like looking at that as a key indicator. So, well, folks, I want to thank you for your time and especially Greg for getting on with us.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Now you are an expert in the Arizona real estate market, and just go make a drink and just sit back and feel good about it. And
I have to talk nationally all the time. I don't get to dive into states very often, and I can hear that I look at Fannie, Freddie, the MMBA, and all their projections are next year is going to be better than this year. It really is. So
it's hard to say that it's going to be worse.
Yeah, that's very true.
So what do you think of our production?
I like it. I think you guys have something going on here, and I absolutely love that you're dialed in on your marketplace. Like I said, I very rarely get to be dialed into a marketplace. I'm usually pulled into a national scale way too often.
All right. Well,
you guys are a great lender. We're looking forward to working with you more.
Thank you.
Sounds good, Jackie. Welcome back. We've missed you. So
Thank you. I missed you guys.
And everybody have a great Thursday and take on the rest of the week. Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care,
You too. Bye, everyone.